Stop! This is Aidan Reese Heron, and you're watching Property Geek TV episode 27, 31, 33. Okay, is reverse engineer what you want to achieve. So where do you want to get to? What do you want to achieve? Win-win on both sides, right? And that's what business should be. I'm here to provide value to you, so this is very, very serious, okay? Question of the day, question of the day, question of the day. Maybe? Nah. I said that I was going to be the hand of Josh because Josh is here, so.
That's fine, you can replace me.
Oh look, some guy. Can you invest from outside the UK?
From outside the UK?
Yeah. So like, I'm assuming you mean like, can people invest from overseas into the UK property market? And this might be quite poignant with the fact that the pound has literally just plummeted against every other currency in the world.
Which is horrible.
So what do you reckon? Do you reckon that people should be looking for money from overseas, or should they be looking for money from inside the UK?
I think you can invest from outside the UK. You either need to be willing to put in the time and effort to learn a completely different property market, if you are already in the property market in your current country, or you have somebody that really is trustworthy to invest or basically advise you on the UK market. I think you really need to know what you're getting yourself into, because different countries are a completely different ballgame.
Yeah. So you're talking from the perspective of the investor into the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you watching now are an investor overseas and you have your own properties in your current country and you're looking at the UK market, we'll get onto that why you might be in a moment. But either you have to figure out and build the infrastructure, i.e. staff and everything yourself, and learn the whole UK law, because it will be different to your law, or you partner up with someone in the UK that knows what they're talking about and invest with them, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, from a perspective of a property entrepreneur or business owner in the UK, why might now be a good time to be looking overseas to raise finance for your UK projects?
Why would we want to look for...
Yeah, well, like, why are we looking for money from overseas at the minute to invest in the UK?
Because the pound's gone down, everyone wants to buy decent properties in London, specifically in London. We know some investors who are looking for London and Manchester, because eventually when the pound does go back up...
Just get the mic to you.
When the value does go back up, then they're going to be quids in.
Yeah.
So, lots of people are looking to invest in the UK whilst the pound's weak.
Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting point, right, that the pound could drop further. We don't know whether it will, we don't know if it won't. Like, the pound has dropped, and it could drop further, and we have to wait and see what the economic fallout and political fallout will be of Brexit, because if some other nations get the vote, they might leave too, and that could cause more catastrophe. But I'm pleasantly surprised at the minute at how stable things are looking going forwards, but also that we're still seeing quite a lot of opportunity. But like you said, overseas investors are very keen to invest in the UK simply because the pound has dropped, and they know that this is going to be a short-term fluctuation, that in the long run the pound will rise again, and with all of the pointers, such as the trade deals that we might be striking up at the minute, it looks like the pound will recover quicker than I anticipated, which means that the window for raising finance overseas to invest in the UK projects is probably smaller than everybody thought it would be following Brexit. Because like, we were excited following Brexit because we were like, yay, everything's going to be cheap for overseas people for a long period of time, so we can build the relationships and raise the finance. But with the trade deals that the government are trying to strike up at the minute, and the interest that some of the other nations have shown, the pound will probably recover quite quick, which means that our time period anyway, and your time period is smaller. But you offer expertise. If you're a UK developer or investor and you're trying to raise finance, you offer expertise, right, to overseas people to give them stability and assurance when they're investing in the UK. That's it. The only other thing I'd say is you don't worry about how they get their money here. because then you're having to try and figure out all of the legalities of transferring that money. You just worry about your end of the bargain like we do, which is the UK, and have some people in mind that you can direct investors to help them get their funds into the UK. But typically it's just set up. I don't know what's going on with my voice. My voice is finally broken. Typically you just set up a limited company, they deposit the cash into that limited company like a director's loan, something like that. But I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take my word for it. That's it. Do you want to be the hand of Josh again, since you are the hand of Josh?
I will be the hand of Josh, yeah. Self-manage or to not self-manage?
What do you reckon?
Don't self-manage. Come on now. Let's be honest.
Next question!
Next question. Yeah, never self-manage.
You almost said it though, didn't you?
I did.
Always wait, no, don't.
Self-not manage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you want it to be scalable as a business, then you should always be looking to have a managing agent. There's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so many phone calls you can have from upset tenants who don't like their co-tenants, or how many boilers can break down in 1 week. If you've got 1 or 2 properties, maybe you can manage by yourself for a little bit, but realistically, you don't want to be doing that. It's not sustainable.
No, and the other thing, this is something that we realised recently, right, is that even if you've only got 1 or 2 properties, you have to question how important your time is, because yes, it's true, if you have good properties and you rent them out to a family or single lets, you're hardly ever going to get any calls, fingers crossed, but sod's law is that you will get loads of them. But it's the stress knowing that you might get a call. So and you might not even be aware of this consciously, but if you are the person to contact for your property from your tenants, then you will subconsciously be expending energy and stress on the fact that you might get a call. Now, if you leverage that off to somebody else, to a letting agency that has got the infrastructure to deal with it, then not only are you leveraging out your time and freeing up your time, you're also going to be freeing up a load of stress that you probably didn't even realise you had. And it's very hard to quantify how much that's worth to you, but I would say that it's probably worth quite a bit, because it's the equivalent of your health, right? Now, yes, okay, it's going to cost a little bit of money to have a management agent in place, but on a single let, that's like £2 a day. It's not much, like a packet of crisps and a coffee from Starbucks. He has a coffee from Starbucks every single day. I don't even know how you have so much coffee.
Sometimes 2, because it's refillable.
So we'll not get onto that. But it's about the stress and anxiety levels that you have running your business will be much lower if you're leveraging out other people. Now the question again comes when you get to a certain size, do you bring it back in-house when you've got the cash flow to deal with hiring staff? But that's a question that you need to ask yourself. For us, it's all going to be about outsourcing, and it already is. You got the last question? You do. Sweet. It's empty. We need to fill it up. We're going to fill it up.
Where can I raise JV finance?
Go for it.
Everywhere. Be proactive. Get out to networking events. There's plenty of networking events, good or bad. There's usually somebody there with some kind of money, in some capacity. Online, funding circle, JV hub. There's plenty of places where you can raise JV finance. Also, sources, surveyors, architects tend to know people who have lots of money. Other property investors, so they can always be a source of leads to find JV finance. They're everywhere.
Everywhere. We need to give Theo a shout out because we mentioned JV Hub.
That's my subtle
subtle plug. I'm quite excited about that. I think that'll be quite nice. Yes, everywhere. One thing though that I would say is it's probably not at property events.
It depends on ones you
Not,
go to.
yeah.
Because you have the ones like some companies or some networking companies. People will go there because they think, oh, it's a property event. There must be people with money, and they're all people there with ideas, but no money, and they're all in one place. But alternatively, if you sort of go to the right places, which may mean that you have to start spending money to go to these kind of events, or maybe you have to spend £100 on a ticket to be at some sort of event. The people actually spending money to be at these events with other people tend to have money. So you just need to be kind of more selective on where you go.
Yeah. Where you go and who you talk to. The other thing is that now, it was actually in this book. Was it in this book? Talking about the sales models.
Yeah.
11. Chapter 11.
Chapter 11.
I went past it. Right. Peter Thiel's book, very good book. I recommended it on my weekly broadcast last week. But yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Never mind. What he's talking about is that as the cost of your sale goes up, like the value that you bring in from one sale goes up, the more intricate and long the process is to gain that sale. That's kind of what he's saying, isn't it? Right? So when you think about JV finance, you're trying to raise a chunk of money. Now, it doesn't take a lot of time and effort, but it's not going to be you meet them once and they shake your hand and they give you 2 million quid. That might happen, but that's what I put down to luck more than anything. What you need to do is put in the work, meet them, okay, have a coffee with them, discuss the opportunities, find out what they want and what they need and what you can give them, and then give it to them, and in return you will probably raise finance. You have to go through, like everything, there's going to be a funnel, right? You have to go through several people before you raise any money. The first time you raise finance will be the hardest time you raise finance, and it will take the longest.
And also, usually it's harder to raise a small amount of money than it is to raise large amounts of money. And one point that you touched on, which I think needs some emphasis, is that you want to make sure that you know what they want.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially like if you're out for their money, and they've had any experience with people who are out for their money before, will be skeptical. And if you make it very apparent that you want to accommodate their needs, and you're transparent with them, and you want to be clear that it's a win-win for everyone, then they're going to be a lot more receptive.
Yeah. And also put a little bit of work in now. You do things to make yourself look professional. Okay, so have a website. I'm not going to say dress smart because I don't. But have a website. Okay, put a bit of a brochure together to give some examples, because some people will want to read that in their own time, at their own leisure and at their own pace, and then have a system in place whereby, if you meet them at an event on day 1, okay, you agree to a coffee. On day 3, you make sure you call them and say, hey, we agreed to have a coffee when we met at such and such event. Would you still like to go for one? Yes. Okay, here's when I'm available. Here's when I'm not available. Okay, have the coffee. Speak to them about that. Have something that you can show them, like a brochure. Here's some examples of projects that we're looking at, or here's some examples of projects we've previously done. Interesting point. If you've never done any projects, team up with someone that has, and borrow as many projects as you possibly can from them. Okay, there has to be something in it for them, but that's a different story. Okay, here's an example of some projects we've done, or here's an example of some of the projects my partners have done, and here are some of the things we're looking at. Here's a history on our business. Here's a CV from me about my property. Here's a CV from my partners about my property, and have all of that ready in a bit of a pack. Don't go to the meeting and shove it under their face, because that will be a little bit pushy, but go prepared and professional enough that you can raise finance effectively. I think the problem is a lot of people are trying to raise JV finance or finance full stop, whether it's JV or commercial, and they're not prepared. They've not done their due diligence. They've not put any effort in. They've not got a brochure. They don't really know what they need the money for. They just know that they need money. If you've got a process, and whatever process that is, it's your process. Okay, it might look similar to other people's, but you need to tinker it and tailor it to your own preference, right? And then use that to raise finance.
Yeah.
No, I think I went off on one there a little bit.
No,
but
it's right. You need to be prepared. I mean, if you go and meet somebody, especially then they know what they're talking about, and you go, "Oh, I've got this great idea," and they go, "Okay, where's your numbers?" And you go, "I don't have any."
Yeah.
Where's your history? Where's your examples? I haven't got any.
Yeah.
And they just tell you to do one, right?
Yeah, it's like you're confident. Their confidence rating in you just like is doing this.
I know. There's one guy I know, and I hope he's not watching this now. He was like, "Oh, okay, well, I understand you're in property now," and so he said, "Oh, we should have a chat." So he's building this house or whatever, and
I remember this.
yeah, and he said basically he ran out of money because his brother pulled up some money to do this house, didn't do his due diligence, didn't look at the demand for the area, basically just found a site and decided to build on it. And now he's run out of money. He's got no one interested in buying the properties. And he's like, "Oh, well, could you lend us some money?" And I was like, "Well, how much can you afford? Like, yeah, maybe we can sort out funding for you." And he goes, "For free, because I can't afford to spend any interest on it because I can't sell the property." You know, like, come on. I said, "Look, bring some numbers, like, bring me some figures." He came with a single piece of paper with about 3 lines on it.
Yeah.
And it was like no, you can't do that.
But so make your own process, make your own system. It will probably look similar to other people's, but you need to make it yours, what you're comfortable with, and how you comfortably raise finance, and then follow that process through, and do your due diligence. Right, that's all it is.
That's it.
Cool. Do you want to ask a question?
Question of the day.
Yeah.
Question of the day. What did we just speak about? Where do you go to find your JV finance?
Sweet man. Cool.